All right, it shouldn't be muted now. Hopefully you can see me. Man, my face is big on there, isn't it? Let's see. Let me get a better look. What do you guys think? You like that? It seems crazy, right? Is that what it looks like on Instagram too? Don't forget to hit start on Instagram, right? All right, folks, listen. It's Monday. Smashing the parties here. I'm actually, as you can see, casting from my phone, a little different than I normally would, because guess what? It's tax time. And daddy forgot to file. Daddy didn't forget to file, but daddy just likes to wait to the last minute. And if you want to know who daddy is, that's me. I forgot to file. I wait till the last minute on everything. So scrambled together, got it done. But I want to talk about it since it's fucking tax time. I might as well talk about taxes and why it's such a pain in the ass. By the way, there's no reason it has to be this much anxiety for anybody. There's no reason. We have the technology. We have the technology to make it so that you don't have to do this stupid dance. Whether you're a small business or whether whatever you got, we could do it. There's other countries, by the way, that do it. So today, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be short and sweet because you're probably trying to fight the deadline. If you're anything worth your salt, you're waiting until the last minute to make sure you're captivating all the interest on that money that you're supposed to pay in. And so you're waiting. So I'm going to be short and sweet tonight. That's my reasoning. Besides the fact that I didn't get the chance to get everything set up at the studio. So we're doing it this way. But anyway, I think I'm actually casting on, real quick, before I get into my little diatribe on taxes, I'm on TikTok, but right now it's kind of weird because I got suspended today. I've been trying to stream occasionally on TikTok to get my views up, and I'm streaming and I was using some strong language. I was driving, so maybe that's why. I don't know, but I got banned from TikTok not banned, but I got suspended. I'm back on. I'm not doing TikTok right this moment because TikTok's like this little sensitive animal where it's like real stuff. So like you can't just go in there and take a dump and just try to follow people. You got to like work your magic. So I like it, but anyway, so that's why I'm not on TikTok. Back to taxes. All right. So the way we do our taxes here is fucked up. Why, when you think about it, are there all these tax rules anyway? Like, what's the tax rate for capital gains? 15%. What's the tax rate for this income rate? You got a tiered system. All right, why is it so complex? Well, guess what? Rich people don't like paying taxes, so they go and they work really hard to write in loopholes and special ways so that they can keep their money. And that's all it is. There's no one, I don't know people, and none of my friends that are working normal jobs are out there trying to figure out ways to change the law to pay less taxes. Now, no one likes paying taxes. I'm not going to go there. I understand that. I'm not making that argument. What I'm saying is that rich people have the means to change the law. So if you were to start out with a simple tax code, you would eventually have complications because rich people would hire attorneys and they would get loopholes and things and special things made and yada, yada. And you're going to have, this is not the controversy that you think. I'm not trying to say like, ooh, taxes, it's robbing the government. If you're making that argument, you're already a moron. If you think that taxes are robbery, then you're a moron. And I get why we've started this country and the Boston Tea Party, but you can't run a government without taxes. So let's just get past that. That whole concept doesn't even work. So taxes, we're going to have to pay our taxes. If we want a functioning government, we have to pay our taxes. So if you came here to say, well, Nate, go ahead. I'd love you to post a comment because I appreciate the interaction. But if you're going to post a comment saying, well, taxes, we shouldn't even pay them, blah, blah, blah. All right, you're, again, wrong discussion time, wrong context. What I'm trying to talk about is how do we facilitate making it easier to pay the damn taxes, okay? You can argue about whether we should pay them on another fucking thread. But the fact is we don't have to make it so complicated. So a couple things. First of all, rich people don't want to pay their taxes. So that's what they want to talk about is not paying taxes or how can we reduce our tax load. No one wants to pay our taxes. But since we have to pay them to have a functioning government, why do they make it so fucking complicated? Like, they have the information. It's almost like they're like, all right, let's see. We know what you made on your W-2. Last year I had some W-2 work. So we know what you made in your W-2. I mean, I have businesses, but like that's even those are simple to do taxes on. They know they can easily extract what my tax liability is and send me a bill. They know. So I have to report quarterly. So it's like they know all these things. Why then do they make us go through this dance, this anxiety driven dance to figure out whether, by the way, if you're getting a refund, it's not really a refund. It's money that you had that you gave the government to hold on to. Unless you're a small business and you're doing something finagly, maybe you're getting a refund because of your W-2 job, depending on how it is. That's sometimes happens to us, whether I declare a loss or not. But those things, like, it's not that complex. Like, your job knows that your job reports that information to the government. We're a digital age, for Pete's sakes. Everything should be digital. So why do they make us do this dance? Well, one big elephant in the room is the tax lobby. The tax lobby is freaking Quicken, H&R Block. You know, these guys, they don't want this system to change because every year they make a killing on it. And it behooves them for us not to understand the tax code, because then you have to hire H&R Block or a CPA. And I would imagine that CPAs are like, you know, they make their living on the tax code in a significant way, depending on what they may do. Again, that's not all CPAs. Obviously, CPAs are do accounting across the board. I'm not a CPA, but my point is, like, you know, you've got this system where you have to pay in. You've got rich people building laws so that they don't have to pay them, and then you basically make it very complicated to pay the taxes. But not only that, you essentially have middlemen that are extracting wealth or leveraging money out of, you know, those fees add up, especially if you're getting a $300 return. That's a big deal to you. And then you got to pay $15 or $5 to file. And so now they have free filing, but of course they're hitting you with services. And in order to do this, you got to do that. And so you end up paying $20 or something like that. For me, I don't give a shit. I'll pay click. I'll do my taxes. Yeah, I'll use TurboTax. I'll do the long forms, whatever. I don't care. And I don't mind it, whether I got to pay it or not, because I have the privilege of having an income and a money and a base of, you know, a quality of life where that's not a big deal to me. But there was a time when this would have been a big deal to me. There was a time where $20 was a huge deal to me. And so I'm not minimizing that. I'm not even trying to put myself on a pedestal. What I'm saying is, like, these things are gatekeepers for people that don't have the means. $20? What do you mean? I'm getting $300 back and I got to pay $20 to file? Okay, so they got rid of that shit, but then they try to upsell you on all the dumb shit. But even so, what my larger point of this whole rant is, why? Why are they making me go through this dance? And that comes down to the system wants us to be complicated so that we can actually have these middlemen who continue to give money to their Congress people so they can continue to have a say in how they're fucking and their revenue. If they get rid of the tax code, or they make it easier, or they make it easy to file, then we're going to be screwed. They're screwed. So look, my head looks like a chicken on fucking Instagram. Sorry, I'm like nodding up and down. Whatever, folks. We're here. We're doing it live. So let's just talk about it while I'm here. Let's talk about what it means for in other countries. Quick Google search. 2017, ProPublica. Again, if you haven't watched the show before, I talk about them because they seem to have a lot of good information. They do a lot of investigation and a lot of stuff that's pro-consumer, which is not just politicians and big companies, but you and me. And so they did an investigation in 2017, and they found that the government sends each citizen an estimated tax filing, which then itemizes their deductions, earnings, and charges. And before you complain about the government, anyway, so you can dispute this. So essentially, the government sends you your filing. So it's like, hey, by the way, here's what you owe. We did everything for you. So then you just pay or whatever, and you can then object to it. So people kind of get all upset about that, but you can dispute it. The IRS has a good idea of what you should pay. All your earnings and property. Why don't we do it? Let me just read this because I just Googled it right before I got. But I'm in the crux of having to pay my taxes, so I figured it's apropos to talk about taxes, right? Since we're we're in that time. Look, it even says in this web. Look, first thing Google Business Insider. To find the real, this I did not read the article, by the way. To find the real reason for all this unnecessary math, you have to follow that money. Housing reports that Intuit, the makers of TurboTax and H&R Block, have lobbied for years to derail. I swear I didn't look it up, but it's obvious, right? I'm not a genius. Lobbied for years to derail any such move towards such a system. Between them, these two companies spend millions of dollars every year to convince lawmakers. This fucking pisses me off. That it's so easy to convince lawmakers with dollars. I get it. And the one lawmaker that takes the money thinks, well, you know what? This is just 5,500 and it's only me. But you fuckers can't think like that. You got to go to Congress thinking, you know what? I want to change the system, so I'm not going to do what everyone else does. That means that I can't be bought and sold. This every time you read this shit, it's bullshit because it means that they can just go in there with money and buy and sell people. It's so fucked up. I know that's obvious. We're in America, but again, it's like when I get to the core of all this bullshit, it comes down to, for me, it comes down to money in politics. We legalize bribery here. And so we have this system that's in place in addition to lobbyists. So what says, look, those two companies spend millions of dollars every year to convince lawmakers to keep the tax system complicated and confusing. So consumers are forced to purchase their products every year. Duh. In addition to lobbyists making hefty donations to their campaigns, some politicians enjoy second-order benefits from the fight to keep your taxes. Like trickle-down politicians love to use American frustration on tax day as a mechanism to promote their anti-government crusade. Wouldn't you figure? So, of course, I hate taxes. You hate taxes. Fuck the government, right? No. Figure out a better way to pay the taxes. It's not everything sucks. We have to fucking break it down or tear it down. Even someone who wants to tear down some systems, I don't necessarily think everything needs to be torn down. It needs to be fixed. So paying taxes is something we got to do. We know that. We can make it easier. But again, we're thwarted by our own politicians. Our own representatives are thwarting us from good fucking procedure and taking a big monumental anxiety-driven moment for Americans. These motherfuckers, because they get some coin in their pocket, we got to continue to do this stupid dance. There's no other reason. I don't give a shit. We have the technology. I'm a software architect. We can build this shit. It's not that crazy. TurboTax did it. I mean, oh no, private sector. Come on, knock it off. They even have our social security number and everything. So we've trusted the private sector with all this tax information. You guys don't, come on. At least with the government, you can at least audit the government. We don't know. We have no power. Oh, it's a public. Oh, see, this is where I go. I know where you're going with all these arguments. You see, I'm kind of breaking down the argument. Well, it's a public company. Well, yeah, but it's run by a private board that's driven by profit. So I'd rather have my fucking stick in the game where government, where at least I can poke and prod it and remove people, and we have full transparency. At least you're supposed to. That's the reason why when it comes to the big entities that I side with, I will side with let's manage and figure out how we can make better government. I'm not going to side with let's manage and figure out how we can make better corporations. But that's what this tax code's doing. That's what the fuck it does. It's frustrating. So it says every few years, wow, they're coming after Republicans. Every few years, you'll see a Republican president candidate grab some attention for their attempts to simplify the tax code by promoting a flat tax, right? And so obviously, I'm not going to get into the tax thing they do. I'm not even going to read the article, but I can tell you flat tax makes sense for people at a certain income level, but then it's disproportionate for people where the staples are a certain amount. For instance, if your bread, staples are like bread, milk, whatever you're eating. If your food is really high and everyone has a flat tax, I don't mind that everything has a 20% tax on it. I can pay it. But when you're only making up, X amount per week, then that flat tax, that 20% is a huge component in it eats into your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Whatever that means, right? What it means is like the things that you need to survive and thrive, you're now having to fucking cut. So it's horseshit. So flat tax it's good for rich people and it's good for people at a certain income level. But then the folks down at the bottom get painfully hit. They shouldn't have to pay taxes. Let's just say that up front. But anyway, so then this article goes on to rip everybody, which is not very what I really want to do. I want to get more into, I wanted to get into how they do it in other countries more. Because basically what it comes down to, the argument I'm making is that we don't have to have this anxiety-driven day. In other countries across Europe, you just get a bill and you pay it. And we could do that. But instead, we do this whole fucking thing. And now I know it's much easier now, especially if you have a W-2 job. It should be a couple clicks. I mean, it really should, even whatever. You can file for free, I'm pretty sure, online. I don't know any of this stuff, so I don't want to give out any bad information. Google yourself. The fucking deadline's up. So don't, hopefully you're not totally, I mean, you're a baller. You're a baller if you're still filing right now. I mean, I pushed to 1059 before, but you're a baller because who knows what the system clock says, right? You're really pushing it. But anyway, so look, I had to pay taxes. I have to pay in a lot of taxes when I was running my own business and making money that way. I remember significant amounts. I'm pro pay taxes. I don't give a shit. I know it's not fair, but I'm pro, like, we got to pay. You got to have some skin in the game. And I will say that when I made significant amounts of money, I remember thinking to myself and said this publicly, like, I can't believe somebody that makes more than me would need more. Like, what else do you need? And I wasn't rich. Like, you didn't see me driving around Lambos or anything like that. I wasn't like that. I'm not like that. But I'm saying, like, so there is a real component of greed that comes with this idea that people don't want to pay their taxes. I mean, I know people that live in huge mansions that fucking do what they can to avoid taxes. Like, it's going to kill them. Like, it's the death of them paying taxes. Like, it's like the horror. And I'm like, holy shit, you live in this big house. Who cares? I said this, charge me an extra $25K a year when I was making that money. Because, like, if that means everyone has healthcare, okay, who cares? It is greed, folks. It's literally greed. And if you're out there making more money and you're like, man, I make $450,000 and I'm just barely surviving. Okay, fucking move out of LA and also calm the fuck down on the shit you need in your life. You don't need all that shit. I'm not talking about, I'm okay with avocado toast and the iPhone, and hell, I'm all about buying digital shit. I'm all about it. But I'm also like, if it came down to it for me, my sacrifice is a car. I live in a city, so I walk and do shit and Uber and all this other shit. So, you know, it's like, I do question people that make, you know, $450,000 a year and are struggling. I'm questioning it as somebody who used to do finances for doctors and everything else. I always question, like, holy shit. You know what it is? It's keeping up with the Joneses. You think you have to drive that car. Oh my God, I looked around. Everyone's driving like this SUV thing kind of car right now. And I was like, at first I was like, I liked it. And then I was like, oh my God, everyone's doing it. So, like, I just found myself easily like, oh my God, I now don't want that car because everyone has one. But it's easy to kind of get caught up in what you think you need because you see it around and everyone's just kind of, this is also something I need. I'm like that with electronics, bro. I am. I'm not lying. I need everything is brand. If it's brand fucking spanking new technology, I need it. I need it. I need it. So I get it. But we wouldn't have to be like this crazy, weird ass country where, which I love, calm down, but we wouldn't have to have this, you know, kind of anxiety driven day for some of us folks who like to wait till the last minute. And we could do all this stuff automatically. And if we just would have, like, loosen up the fact that our politicians are basically bought and sold by the biggest bidder. And what sucks about it, you know, I've had ideas about that. Like, how do I become the biggest bidder? Well, I mean, I'd love to grow this thing where I'm like, you have to kiss Nate's ring before you come elected. Sure. Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, that's kind of what he had. Kiss Rush Limbaugh's ring. I don't have that power, and that's not possible. So how do we get power like they have? They're able to, you know, throw together 25,000 and Lloyd Smucker's ears perk up because he's like, boom, that's some good money. I can stay elected with that money, keep Nate off my back, keep him out of my mentions, keep fucking bamming the shit out of him when he gets annoying. So what it comes down to is you kind of have to, you have to break the incentivization of the system. You have to make sure your politicians are well paid and they're taken care of. And when they get elected, after they're elected, they get taken care of by the government. They don't even have to work. And I know that sounds crazy, but you get 2-4 years in Congress, you've done public service, you've gone through the gauntlet, probably had your public shit shamed and put out there, and now you're just doing 4 years. I'm saying you're paid for life. You're hooked up. You don't need to do anything. You're hooked up. You're well taken care of. You've got health care for life. And why do I say that? Because I don't want them to be bribed. I want my politicians well paid and not bribed. I don't want them to be bribed by people or politicians. I want, okay, yep, you got elected. Now you're set for life. Cool. You don't have to take money from people. You're not worried about fucking raising campaign funds because you're set. You're actually going to go in there and be like, you know what? I got this job. It's like a lottery ticket. Now I can go in and bust my ass and kill it. And it doesn't matter if you lose because you're still hooked up because you did that thing. That's how I think it should be. I think it should be like, I'm okay with raising their incomes. I think their income should be extremely high and it should be tough and they should be in and out. Like if they fuck up and they can't maintain their stuff, you don't get to just ride out. All right. Look, I'm going off tangent, but it always comes back to like, how do we change the system? We got to get the money out of the politics. And this taxes, believe it or not, this thing that we have to do, the reason it's still around is because these mofos keep taking the money and keep making it hard for us just to be like every other developed world and just get a bill and say, okay, cool. Go have some drinks with your friends. You get your tax bill. Sure. Done. I'll send it in or I don't send it or I negotiate or whatever. Instead, it's got to file and some paperwork. And then, I mean, it's like the realtor problem. Sorry, realtors, but it's just like that. I mean, I know you think you're needed, but there's a world where like people don't have middlemen in their transactions. I know middlemen are like part of the economy and shit. But anyway, all right. Look, that's all I got. I think I went longer than I thought I would. Taxes, pay your taxes. You got about an hour and 10 minutes if you're on the East Coast. Make sure you pay your taxes. Don't hate on the taxes. Figure out ways to loopholes, do all that shit. But pay your taxes. It's patriotic. It's patriotic as hell. And I'm not saying that your money goes everywhere you want. Trust me. But it's patriotic. The idea is that you're going to dismantle the government and not paying taxes is somehow more patriotic than me, who's proud to pay taxes so that his fellow American can get benefits. I don't know. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I might be pumping my chest a little bit. That's all I got. Tomorrow, I'll be full deck studio laid out, and we'll go from there. All right? I promise. But tax day. Get it done. Peace, everybody. I'll know what this is going to look like. We'll see, folks.